Hi, Celebrate Life. It's time to do the weekly recap from the 24th, this past Monday. Boy, time really goes fast. It's Saturday already, and I usually like to have this done before now. But last week, it was a fun night, interesting night, and serious as well, because we deal with some serious topics, but know that we have lots of fun there too. We talked a little bit more this past Monday night about the Serenity Prayer and what it entails and what it means. And I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it is a very common prayer, actually, that is recited, spoken, prayed at recovery meetings. And I know other recovery groups use it as well, but we at Celebrate Life do this as well. And it is something that I've been trying to get our folks to really get an understanding of what we're praying. And each week I say, stand with me and pray the Serenity Prayer. Not just say it, not recite it, not read it, but actually pray it. And so what I did was I played from the Skit Guys. If you're not familiar with them, you can Google them and look them up. They are two very funny Christian comedians. And they definitely have a heart for recovery, and they do a skit. It's about 13, 14 minutes long, and they do a skit about the Serenity Prayer. And the skit is, one of them is God talking to the other one and trying to get him to understand what this prayer is about. So you need to Google that as well if you're not familiar with the full Serenity Prayer, because what people mostly hear is just the first couple lines. But it is a very in-depth, important prayer, and I have prayed it in my own life in times when I was scared, when I was upset, when there was something going on I felt it was out of my control. So let me actually pray that with you so that you're familiar with it, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. God, give me grace to accept with serenity the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. And so there were a lot of points brought out, and you really need to look up the Skit Guys talk about the Serenity Prayer. And they talked about what does serenity mean. So I asked in our group work afterwards what serenity meant to each one of them. They talked about how we have control over certain things, but we don't have control over everything. And how do we handle each one of those things? Do we manipulate? Do we correct? Do we try to control others? Or do we allow God to handle it? And then what do we do about the things that we have control over? How do we handle that? And realizing that we can have fear of failure and fear that we're going to fall and not be able to handle something, and how that affects our life. And then basically, have we truly surrendered, completely surrendered to the Lord? Have we given our life open hands and said, Lord, this is your life. My life is your life, and I want your will? Or do we keep our life and our circumstances in clenched hands and try to control it all? So just some food for thought for you, a little bit of homework for you to Google and look these things up and be familiar with what I'm talking about. But I really, really would suggest that you become familiar with the Serenity Prayer and that you pray it as well. So I'm glad that we could have this time together. Know that Celebrate Life meets every Monday night at 6 p.m. at 148 6th Street in Clymer. We're in the old Mr. B's furniture store building, which is our space now, adjacent to Tiny Disciples, right across from Luigi's Pizza. Very easy to find. We always have snacks, refreshments, good fellowship, wonderful worship, and just a safe place to be together. So I hope that you will join us. Put it on your calendar. Make it a thing that you do for yourself every Monday night. So we will see you there soon.